In this video we will discuss about the type of galectins and its role in the immunity. In our previous video we have understand this galectin can cause immunogenic reactions in some diseases. So in this video we will understand what are the different type of galectins and how it will cause immune response. So galectins are mainly divided into three types. First one is prototype, chimeric type and tandem replicates. And from the image it can be understood that prototypes can be exist in monomer or dimer states, in dimer equilibrium states, and each of these galectins will depend on its overall shape, how they exist in equilibrium, whether as a monomer or a dimer state. And chimeric type is that these galectins is attached to some kind of uh, antigen as it is shown here. In the case of tandem repeat, the two galectins are attached together through with the help of some tandem. These are the three main types of galectins uh, that are uh, that are being classified. So, and next we will understand how these galectins will interact. So, galectins can interact with the carbohydrate, or we can say glycan structure. So in the extracellular matrix, what it will does is these galectins, these in the here it is shown the example of prototype or dimer type. Galectins helps in interaction of carbohydrates that are present on different glycoproteins and then trigger the signaling pathway within the cells. So in this case, if there is a change in the glycan structure, the galectins might interact with different carbohydrate structure, and it might be possible that uh, the interaction of the glycoproteins will be completely changed if there is a glycosylation profile changes occurs within the cells, and this might trigger completely different kind of signaling pathway within the cells. And in that case what might happens is that the different kind of signaling pathway might even lead to the activation of the T cells innate immunity, or we can say uh, adaptive immunity of the host, because of the different signaling pathway activation. And this might even lead to cytokine secretion, chemotaxis, or even decide the cell fate with the help of this against with the coordination of this immune system of the host. The next part it is shown is the site of these galectins can be found either in the extracellular matrix or within the cells in the cytosol, and in some case it can also be found in the nucleus because it lacks the signaling pathway that can direct him to its final destination. And in the case of this intracellular protein, it can directly interact with the intracellular proteins and trigger the signaling pathway, and instead of indirectly activating by interacting instead of indirectly activating by interacting between two glycoproteins by helping in the interaction of two glycoproteins, it can directly intracellular galectins can directly interact with intracellular proteins and activate the signaling pathway. uh, and in this case the interaction is carbohydrate free, as it does not interact with the carbohydrate, it's directly interacting with the protein. So it might this interaction might lead to cell signaling, survival, phagocytosis, autophagy, depending on the type of interactions. As these galectins these galectins might is a part of the immune response. So if there is a intercellular proteins that is uh, intercellular proteins formed because of some of the epigenetic changes due to some infections, then or this is some kind of foreign proteins, then it might trigger the signaling pathway that will activate the innate immune system, and further it might also activate the adaptive immune system later on. So these are in case of immune cells, what it will does is galectins might interact with the antigen. Galectins might interact with the immune cells to activate the immune system, or we can say T cells, adaptive immune T cells, or we can say there's T cells, B cells, which are necessary for this immune response. And the last category is that the within the intracellular compartment, or in the cytosols, galectin not only directly interact with the intercellular protein, but it can also interact with the carbohydrate structure of the intercellular proteins, and this is usually occurred when there is a damaged organelles, and the glycoproteins that are present within the organelles will expose to the cytosols, where the galectins can interact with the carbohydrate of those proteins and then trigger the signaling pathway, in, as such as this autophagy, as there is a damaged organelles, so those conditions within the cells is not normal, so it might trigger the signaling pathway accordingly. And one of this example is autophagy, in case the cells are not able to survive, cells are not able to perform its function normally, or not able to revive itself into its normal state, then in that case it might trigger autophagy. So I hope you have understood some of the types of galectins and how it plays a role in the immunity. If you need to understand these things in detail, you can go through the reference that has been provided in the description. That's all for this video. Thank you for your time.